It's Thursday, March 19th, 2026. Two of the more memorable stops I took on my road trip around the East Coast about 9 years ago were visiting a couple of my uncles. As an uncle myself, not then, but now, I really enjoyed meeting these people without necessarily having anyone else from my immediate family present. You really get to see a different side of people when you spend time with them in different company. I'd describe both of my parents as on the lawful end of the alignment spectrum, and I appreciate a bit of chaos from time to time. The first uncle I visited was retired military, so very much on that lawful end of the spectrum. And you could probably infer from that if you just paid attention to his schedule. He was still doing some contract work to help out with his former employer, and his personality was such that he felt a constant need to be up and about as long as the sun was. When the sun set, he would plant his butt in his comfy recliner and watch trash TV. I specifically remember him watching The Big Bang Theory, which I think is about as trash as it gets, on network television until sleep set in. As such, he was living with my aunt, who he had happily been married to for 30 plus years, in a big house on a golf course. And I stayed there, I think, the longest of any of my stops because largely it was over Christmas week. It was great to see the cousins there as well, and two of my favorite events when visiting him were informal Christmas Day golfing with the uncle and a couple of my cousins, and then getting wine drunk with my aunt and grandma. I'm not a big drinker, and both of them easily drank me under the table. I later, a couple of weeks later, visited his brother, whose life was quite a bit different. While Uncle number one, again, had been married to my aunt for 30 plus years, Uncle number two was divorced and living in what I'd describe as a decaying McMansion. It was in a gated community, but the acre plus of land it was on was overrun with kudzu. The house itself, while large and impressive, at least from the outside, was what I would consider in a similar state of decay to the lawn from the inside. It had structural problems. There were holes in the floor and walls in places where they shouldn't be, and they seemed to have been going unaddressed, while his indoor residential grow operation was flourishing. I only stayed one night there, though I do wish I had stayed a few more. Uncle number two had a more complicated family dynamic, including divorce, and some of my cousins on that side were scattered throughout the US, so I didn't get to see them while I was there. I do remember that night, though, going to get Mexican food with my uncle, two of my four cousins from that side of the family, and one of their girlfriends and daughter. That night was one of my favorites on the whole trip. One of the cousins I'd met there was much younger than me. While I was about 30 at the time, he was 18 and just finishing up high school. After graduation, he reached out and told me that he had been inspired by my trip and decided to take one of his own. He had grown up in the southeast US and he had traveled all over the West Coast, aiming to visit as many national parks and see that side of the country for himself in person because he just hadn't had the opportunity to do so before then. I am super proud of him for doing so. He did not have the benefit of family to crash with like I did, and he didn't have the benefit of 7 years in corporate America first to help pay those travel bills. All that to say, I can remember a lot of details about that road trip, and I bet that cousin can too. Given that I'm now planning on taking some real time off this year, I have taken a personal leave from my company until the end of 2026. I'll likely hit the road sometime this year. I'm really not sure where I want to go, though. It would be fun to hit the East Coast again and revisit family. But there are other things I think I'd like to try that I haven't tried just yet. I was able to see Uncle number two again a few years later to help celebrate his marriage to a partner that seems to bring out the best in him. And it would be great to see them again, especially the cousins. But it would be fun to do a more nature-focused trip like my youngest cousin there did. I haven't visited as many of the national parks as I would like, and with time off from a tech career, it seems like a perfect opportunity to get away from screens for a prolonged and significant amount of time. One thing that Uncle number two said really stuck with me regarding work. He was the CFO at an insurance company at the time, but he had had a full career all over the place, including significant periods of unemployment. We were talking about being overworked and overstressed, which had been my life for that first 7 years of my career. And we were also talking about unemployment. On unemployment, he simply described it as it's just a different kind of stress. My health insurance coverage lapsed yesterday. I'm on a personal leave from work and it's unpaid and uninsured. I'm supposed to be getting information about enrolling in Cobra in the mail, but it hasn't been delivered yet. I've already been stressing over getting my crown finished off, though it sounds like they've already put the claim in, so I should be okay. But yeah, I'm starting to feel that other kind of stress, and I'm sure I will in a very profound way as the months go on. It is small now, that stress, small enough for me to rationalize or ignore, but I know it'll grow. My employment goal for the next year and beyond is generally to find work worth doing. I really want to be done selling my talent at a discount for somebody who doesn't deserve it.